begin today with a beautiful musical tribute from Palmer. Palmer, when you're ready.
I'm one of Tom's many nieces. I'm going to share with you all today his obituary. On July 18th, 2021, my Uncle Tom passed away at home with his wife Leslie and son Quentin by his side after a long challenge against cancer. Tom was born in Pine Ridge, South Dakota. He was rooted in and proud of his Oglala Lakota heritage and honored his cultural traditions throughout his life. In his early childhood, his family left the reservation and settled in Arizona in 1960. He served in the U.S. Army during Vietnam from 1969 to 1970. Upon his return, he worked in the construction industry until 1990, with his sights set on furthering his education at Phoenix College. He discovered a new passion and interest for children with special needs. This was the beginning of the next chapter, where he found his wife Leslie, who was also taking classes there for her son Quentin. Tom's next step found him accepting a job opportunity with her insurance company, serving as a CNA to Quentin. The relationship with the three led to marriage and a life of 31 great years together. In his latter years, he grew up to be very content with a calm life and simple pleasures. Whether it was him mastering his love of gardening or eating breakfast, hanging out with some local scallywags at the Fifth Avenue Cafe. His loving presence and unselfish spirit will be greatly missed by all. He is preceded in death by his father, Walter, his mother, Ida, brothers Stephen, Lou, and Daryl. Survivors include his wife, Leslie, his son, Quentin, daughters, Crystal and Seneca, 3 grandchildren, and his sisters, Mary, Darla, and Shelley. Thank you all again for coming out today. My Uncle Tom was well loved, and you all being here today has really shown that. Thank you.
Well, we wanted to do this memorial last year, but because of COVID and not being able to get any help, caregivers were scarce. And Quentin had surgery right after that, so we knew it wasn't the right time. So anyway, things got better, and thanks to Dan here, who is now Quentin's co-guardian, has kind of stepped up to the plate and just offered to kind of take Tom's place as far as if something were to happen to me, he would make sure Quentin was in a safe place. And he and Elias, his partner, helped me get Maggie. Maggie's over at the corner there. She's now a live-in caregiver. And so now we can do this. Sorry. I'd like to thank a few people, my scallywag friends. That's another story, but they made this day happen as well. Earl and Nancy are professional photographers, and Earl was quite creative and made the wonderful video that you've seen here, and made it possible to those who couldn't be here to be able to view the memorial on YouTube. Hal and his wife Gail, local artists, made beautiful pottery, memorabilia for us. They all helped me put this event together, helped me get it, so that we could finally do it. Tommy and Kay, the other two scallywags, constantly, even though Kay is 90 years old, used to come over and work out with me 4 days a week and show me how to exercise and kept me mentally and physically in shape over this last year. So anyway, we really appreciate you all coming out. Quentin and I want to thank all of you. Thank Dan, for what you've done. Just a minute, I'm sorry. Give me moments. If I start crying, just yell out, "You're ugly when you cry," and I'll stop.
Crying too.
It's kind of tough, but
You're beautiful when you cry.
thank you. Well, anyway, Clinton and I want to thank all of you for your love. Tom wanted me to make sure I told you to thank you for your love, your friendship, prayers during the horrendous fight with cancer. A special thank you to Dan, our neighbor, who became like a brother. Dan is one of his many areas of expertise as an RN. He's also a surgical nurse for the best liver specialist in Arizona. That just kind of worked out that way. Between his guidance and Dr. Katerina Moore and the staff at the VA, which I see you here, thank you. I believe that Tom received the best possible care and lived 5 years beyond his original prognosis. We are very grateful for that time. We thank our dentist and staff for being here today, keeping Tom's and my teeth healthy. All of would go somewhere else, but keeping us healthy. And thank you also for being here. My coworkers, all my friends, and must have done something right. My supervisors are all here, and I didn't get fired, and and we became friends. So anyway, we love you all. Quentin and I thank you for being with us as we reflect and honor Tom and bless his current journey. Before I start this eulogy, I have to tell you guys all that Tom said before he passed away. He said, I'll try to make the memorial if I can, but I may have to work that day. I have no idea what Creator has in mind for me. But if I can make it, I'll try to show up as a hawk. And he said, I'd like to say I'd show up as an eagle, but I don't think I'd advance that far along. But he said, watch out for me. And so if any of you guys see a hawk or an eagle around, let me know, and I'll let you know if I see them. I did see this morning, I said hello to Tom, and I said, are you happy with this? And a pigeon feather fell in front of me, so I don't know if he showed up as a pigeon. Anyway, I met Tom, just a second. I met Tom when I was 11 years old, when he and his family, both of us all from small towns, moved to Phoenix. We lived in the same neighborhood. We went to the same school, played together, and shared sports activities together. At that time, Tom was 6 years older then, though, and he was interested in sports, girls, and cars. At that time, I was playing in the mud with his sisters and sometimes with dolls, but I was kind of a tomboy. After graduating high school, Tom joined the Army, as Sonia said, as an innocent boy. He was sent to Vietnam from 1969 to 1970. His experience deeply affected the rest of his life, and he came back very shattered. He spent the next 17 years staying as medicated as he could to avoid the nightmares. He struggled to find his way, but was so traumatized and angry at our government. The suicide rate amongst the Vietnam veterans was staggering. After failed relationships and many regrets, Tom decided that maybe he needed help. He stopped drinking and medicating and started counseling at the vet center. But back then it was limited. He saw a need for more help for all veterans. He became involved with the VA and served for years as the president of the Native American Vietnam Veterans Association. He also returned to his roots and began again to practice the traditions that he grew up with as another tool to aid him in his recovery. He traveled all over the country, volunteered to assist other Native vets in his recovery. He facilitated many healing ceremonies. Having a hard time with the wind. He also began traditional dance, which he enjoyed. Tom was very instrumental in passing legislation which would finally recognize post-trauma stress disorder and created funding for counseling for not only Vietnam veterans but for all veterans going forward. That gave Tom a great sense of purpose. In the meantime, he also worked in the concrete business for a dear friend who's passed on to the spirit world now. It was a small company. He worked with a handful of guys, and they became brothers. They were a motley crew. Sorry, guys. But anyway, they were a motley crew, but they were all great guys. They did a lot of fishing trips, so especially the annual the famous Black River trip. Through this time, Tom was married to a wonderful lady named Marcy. She's my friend. They did divorce, but they had a daughter and a granddaughter, and from another relationship also he had a daughter and 2 grandchildren. He said he owed them all a lot of apologies during his recovery time, but because he loved them, he strived to be better. In 1990, Tom decided, as Sonia said, to decide careers. He wanted to work with special needs, and he attended Phoenix College in pursuit of a degree in behavioral health. This is when his and my paths crossed again. I was also enrolled in the same program, and we shared classes. I hadn't seen Tom since we were in our 20s at different gatherings. I didn't want anything to do with him back then because he was a mess and I was kind of flaky too. But we grew. I told him my journey, and I had been married and divorced, and about Quentin's accident, which resulted in a severe disability both mentally and physically. He met Quentin. I told him I was looking for a caregiver. He asked for the job. I hired him. We all 3 worked well together. He was a live-in caregiver. I have a separate apartment where he lived for a while. We became very best friends, and then Quentin and Tom and I fell in love. Because of the way Tom treated Quentin, I couldn't help but love him. He was just wonderful. I knew my family was he knew my family was all about outdoors, camping, fishing, hiking, BSing around the campfire, music and dancing, playing cards and games. He grew up the same way. He helped me take Quentin to every gathering that we could go to. We love sports, and the 3 of us enjoyed many Suns games together and participated actively. When we were younger, we used to play racquetball and hike, and really shared a lot of fun times. We shared coffee every day on the porch, listening to rhythm and blues. He loved music and was very knowledgeable about the history of music. He introduced me to a lot of artists I didn't know about. Tom got to know all of Quentin's medical team, and he began to know as much about Quentin as I did. Tom was at every one of Quentin's procedures and surgeries, which was over 70 until he was no longer able to because of his own illness. Anyway, one afternoon, while drinking coffee on the porch, Tom looked at me and Quentin and said, "Well, guys, what do you think? Do you think we ought to get married?" That was his proposal. So I said, "What, no flower? You're not going to get down on your knees?" And he said, "Well, I can't get down on my knees. I just had a knee replaced, and no flower." So I went over and he picked an oleander flower and gave me a flower. But anyway, I knew he was the guy for me, and Quentin and I both loved him very much, and we knew he loved us. He said he talked to my dad, who said, "Well, Tom, you're good to my daughter and my grandson. You like to fish and camp, and you laugh at all of my jokes, so I think you'll fit right in." From there, we walked together for 31 years. I was blessed, and Quentin was blessed, and no matter how many times I thanked Tom, he would say he was the blessed one. He called Quentin seed. He said Quentin was his teacher because in spite of and because of his injury, Quentin knew nothing about hate, judgment, embarrassment, and loves everyone. And Tom said that he knew that Quentin, that he was supposed to be there with Quentin. That was his calling. When people asked Tom what his Indian name was, he replied, "Lukewarm water. This is my wife, two shades white, and my son Flapping Bear." When Quentin gets real excited, he waves his arm in the air real fast. Those were the names that he gave us. He took care of us and made happy days for us. As we got older, his favorite thing to do was taking me on a date to the Fifth Avenue Cafe a few times a week for coffee, laughter, and breakfast with our favorite scallywags in the neighborhood. Our life was simple, but great. I still go to the Fifth Avenue Cafe a couple of times a week with his spirit beside me. Tom and I shared the belief of the philosophy the Lakotas call Metakawel Yasi. Translated, it's the idea that all life is related, not only people but animals, plants, and any other life in the universe. We believe that when one is out of balance, it affects all of us. So when we pray to what the Lakota people say, Tunkashala, or in the name for God, they have many names for God, like Creator, Grandfather, Great Mystery, Tunkashala. They didn't put a lot of emphasis on the name, but the intent of the prayer. It's like calling your dad, Dad, or Papa, or Pops, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. He would always address, when he prayed, every direction and ask for guidance for all to sorry guys. He would ask for guidance for all of us to recognize our given ability to choose to be mindful of our thoughts, to be positive instead of negative, and be mindful of our actions in hope of creating a balance here together. He believed we were all teachers and all students, and that we came together for a reason. That always all made sense to me. Even though we fall short, Tom reminded me to work on forgiving others as well as myself, to be free to learn the next lesson. In the Lakota language, there is no word for goodbye. They say, "Doksha Kola." That means I'll see you again, my friend. Those were our last words to each other. In closing, our nephew will now share of the post prayer that we shared
Lakota prayer. Teach us how to trust our hearts, our minds, our intuitions, our inner knowing, the senses of our bodies and the blessings of our spirits. Teach us to trust these things so that we may enter our sacred space, and love beyond our fears, and thus walk in balance, with the passing of each glorious sun.
Good morning. My name is Napoestua. My English given name is Palmer. I come from the Hopi Nation. And the first song I sang today was a memorial song sung in the Lakota language. And as she said to you guys a few minutes ago, was that our people, there is no word for goodbye. It was always I'll see you again. So at this time I'm going to close it out with a closing song. And these words in this song, that's what it says, my friend. Our time has come to an end. It's time to part ways. But as we travel, always travel with happy hearts. And we will see each other again on another day. But that's what I just want to share with you. And closing song.
We do have a moment to really utilize that time and continue to share in honor of Tom while we have this opportunity. So if anyone would like to start off, maybe some of the scallywags would like to come forward and share a thought or a memory and keep us flowing and celebrating Tom today.
COVID and my husband's illness, Tom would come in every day to pick up to-go orders, and he would ask about how we were doing. And I always thought, gee, here's a guy who's got a whole lot going on in his life, yet he
concerned about our lives. And I'm so glad that we're able to share this special day with Leslie and say we'll see him again soon.
Thank you for giving us a great place to hang out at and meet good friends. Thank you.
Just here to represent. Is that a hawk?
Where?
There it is. All right, Donna.
Right here, Tom.
Oh, wow. Can you believe that?
Work today.
And he's not a pigeon. Oh, thank you, Uncle. Love you. Thank you for being here. Oh,
Silk Shaw.
anyhow, I just wanted to just
There
say
you
hi
go.
to my uncle. He's here saying hi to all of us. He's just standing here with my aunt. I couldn't have asked for a better aunt or cousin out of my Aunt Leslie. When I just remember being young and spending so much time with both of them and Uncle Tom. And though I wasn't around all of the time in my older years going through the Bahama trauma, he never stopped loving me. He was the most non-judgmental uncle. He was the best. And in our last times together, I came to the house and I said goodbye, and I placed some crystals at his feet. I gave one to Quentin. I became a Reiki practitioner in 2020, and I call on our ancestors all of the time. And I know Uncle is with us, and I pray to him and I talk to him. And there was a lot of guilt and sadness for not being always there when I couldn't. So now I get to share this now. So it's very special, and I wish his sisters could be here, but here we are representing, and I'm here. So we love you, Uncle. And I love you, Auntie.
Thank you.
I'm Dan. Used to be neighbors to Leslie, Tom, and Quinn. One thing that is interesting is how our lives somehow just come together for a reason. And for me moving next door to Tom and Leslie, most of the time when people, when you have neighbors that live there for like a year and a half, and they move, you typically drift apart. We did not. We actually grew closer together. One of the things that was unique is that we have so many different correlations that has happened in our lives to bring us together. And one of the first things is that I was very involved in Boy Scouts, and the camp that I worked at for 6 summers was Camp Lakota. And in Boy Scouts, there's a lot of Indian traditions, and you may not be aware of this, in Boy Scouts. And getting to know Tom and understanding his culture made me understand things in a deeper way. One of the things that was surprising to me is that as a gay man, a lot of times you feel rejected by society. But what I found in Tom and his culture is that we are welcome, and that was such a comforting thing. Another thing I have to say about Tom is that very honest. You know, I mean, he's not going to sugarcoat anything. He's going to say what he thinks, and really appreciate his transparency that I've seen. The other thing that I think is so unique is his loving heart. You know, when I saw how he took Quentin and Leslie and the care that he gave Quentin, everyone would be so fortunate to be Quentin, to have Tom and Leslie love that they shared for him. I will always cherish our times together, and I really, really, really respect Tom and appreciate, and my life is forever changed for the better of knowing Tom.